So there are really 5 factors that affect the value of your personal injury case if you've been in a car wreck. And some of these factors have nothing to do with you, but they have a huge effect on the value of your case. Number 1, it's what's the policy limit? Well, what do you mean? Like, I have nothing to do with the other person's policy limit. Well, it has a lot to do with you. So for example, if the person that hit you only has a $25,000 policy, which is the minimum policy in the state of Georgia, and they caused you catastrophic injuries, right? Well, if you don't have any uninsured motorist coverage and that person hits you and you're catastrophically injured, that could be the absolute most you can get from that insurance company, because that's what the policy limit is. We've had situations where a person has been killed and the family asks me, what do you mean we can only recover $25,000 due to the reckless actions of this other guy? And I have to explain to them, that's the policy limit. It was just $25,000. So that has a huge effect on the value of your case. Another factor that is absolutely crucial is, what does the MRI say? The MRI is the gold standard to show what soft tissue injuries you've sustained from a motor vehicle collision. If you're reading the MRI report, if you happen to have an MRI, ask for the MRI report. Maybe get that from your attorney, because it's going to say certain things that potentially affect the value of your case. Number 1 thing is, were there any tears, herniations, extrusions, annular fissures, edema? Is there a causative statement in the MRI that says that to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, this level, this disc at C5, C6, L4, L5, this disc condition was caused by the motor vehicle collision on this date? That causative statement and whatever that disc level says has a huge effect on the valuation of your case. A huge factor in your case is, what type of treatment did you get? So there are individuals that are not that injured and get chiropractic care, physical therapy, things of that nature. Well, obviously that case is less valuable than a person that has been really injured and had to get injections or even surgery, right? Because it has to do with the level of injuries that you've sustained. If a person undergoes surgery, you automatically know, like, this is serious, right? This is not like a fender bender. Not to say that fender benders can't cause serious injuries, but the idea of you actually having to go under anesthesia and doing a surgery, that certainly increases the value of your case, as it should, because you're in a lot more pain than a person that just went to the chiropractor or a physical therapist to get better. Another factor, believe it or not, that has a huge effect on the valuation of your case is, the person that hit you, where do they reside? Yes, I'm serious. If the defendant, the at-fault driver, actually lives in Cherokee County, a more affluent county, the value of your case is actually less than if you were injured in the exact same way by a driver that resides in DeKalb County. They're lower on the economic status, more diverse county, but DeKalb County is considered the most plaintiff-friendly county because people who usually are not as privileged economically, they are more likely to give more money for pain and suffering, whereas people that are more well-to-do are less likely to give money for pain and suffering because they have that sense that I earned my money, I went to college, I went to graduate school, I went to medical school or what have you, I went to law school. They're less likely to be more generous, more giving when it comes to pain and suffering. Another factor from a pre-suit perspective that has a lot to do with the valuation of your case is, how compelling is the property damage? And of course, I have handled cases where the person barely got a scratch on the bumper and they actually needed surgery. But we had to file a lawsuit on that case because they didn't believe it. The insurance company didn't believe that the guy needed surgery for a case where there was just basically a scratch on the bumper. So unfortunately, from a pre-suit perspective, if the person only has a scratch on their bumper, the insurance company is going to deem that case a lot less than a case that has compelling property damage on the vehicle. At the Awad Law Firm, we actually have a scale. We call it a PD rating from 0 to 10. 0 being pretty much non-existent property damage, and 10 being extremely compelling. Car is totally crushed like a soda can. Well, if you have a case where the car is totally crushed like a soda can, then that case is going to be deemed a lot more valuable than a case that has a scratch on the bumper. And thus, PD rating is an extremely important factor when assessing the value of your personal injury case pre-lawsuit.